Now let's look at what the Sixers are offering. The Sixers, and we've heard about this a lot. Me and Caleb, we talked about this with you guys, about a month ago, that is Ben Simmons worth trading James Harden for? Is it worth giving up a young piece to get a guy that is a proven star and has made it to the Western Conference 2 times in his career? Right now, we do not know what the Sixers are offering, but we do know that Houston is asking for some type of package, including Ben Simmons and my guy, Tyrese Maxey. Now, what we've heard right now is that Philadelphia is not interested in trading Tyrese Maxey, and they're looking at other options in making that trade so they can find somebody else. Now, looking at these two teams, right, we have Brooklyn and we have Philadelphia. Philadelphia, they started off hot. They were on our super hot five fire team last week, and they haven't been doing well. They've lost 3 straight now. And you look at a team like the Nets. We'll get to the Nets and all of their problems in just a little bit, but Kyrie's not showing up. KD is out 3 games with COVID, returns, and they get a win. But again, Spencer Dinwiddie out. Kyrie's not there. That roster is starting to get thinner, and more pressure is being put on Kevin Durant. So now it's just like you look at these two rosters, where does Harden fit, if at all? And which team should even be making this trade? Like, we look at a team like Brooklyn. Should they be making this trade for James Harden, given the egos that they already have? That's very questionable. And that's something that we can argue. But then you look at a team like Philadelphia, and that makes a little bit more sense when you look at it from a roster standpoint and you look at it from a success standpoint. Joel and Ben haven't had much success, right? But Philadelphia is a team that, hey, do you really trade a guy like Ben Simmons for James Harden? So these are the two teams that I'm looking at right now. Honestly, Caleb, who do you see him fitting in better with?
Man, Brooklyn would definitely be horrifying, right? If Kyrie comes back, KD's putting up 30 points per game. If you get those two and James Harden, that's a big three that's very scary. But there's something about being able to see a James Harden and Joel Embiid duo that I think would just be so fascinating to watch. You keep Tobias Harris, who I think is more fitted to play a third role than any of the guys in Brooklyn would. I don't think Kyrie's going to take that third role spot. That's who would take that third role spot, but I don't think he'd want to be all for that. I think him in Philadelphia would be more exciting. Granted, I absolutely hate the 76ers, but think about a Joel Embiid, James Harden pick and roll. Like, that duo would be lethal. And I know people are like, well, I don't know about trading Ben Simmons, but you got to think like, in 2 months in March, Joel Embiid turns 27. Right there's the start of a prime. That's people say 27 to 31, 32. That's the prime. Okay, so say you want to go all in right now. You have Harden for 2 years. You give yourself a 2-year window with Joel Embiid entering his prime to make a push for a championship. Do I think they're a championship team right now? If they go with their big four would be Harden, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and PJ Tucker? Probably not. But in Brooklyn's case, KD's over 30. Kyrie turned 30, I think, or he's turning 30 soon. And Harden is 32. So their whole thing could be, you know what? Screw the ego thing. We're going to throw out our 3 best players, and we're going to hope it works. And like I mentioned last week with the whole Kyrie Irving thing, if you're Brooklyn, take what you can get. If you can get a guy like James Harden for Karis LeVert and other stuff, you got to do that, right? You got to think about just throwing your 3 best players out there, letting them go at it. I would say that if I had to pick, it'd be like 55-45. I'd go with Philadelphia, but it's so close. It's so close. You can make an argument for either side.